But at any rate, Jupiter is on the plus side due to switch signs on the 9th of June 2025, when it will ingress into the sign of Cancer, which is where it is exalted. Now, this could spell good news for the property and real estate markets, as well as sectors like hospitality, DIY home improvements, as well as any products or services related to things like food and things like mom and babies, childcare, that kind of thing. However, on the downside, this means that Jupiter and Saturn will form a cardinal square to each other in June. And that's, many of us remember, if we think back to 2009 and 2010, how charged those cardinal T-squares and grand crosses were. And that's because cardinal squares generally result in some fairly dramatic actions, decisions, and sort of events in the outer world because of their strong take-charge nature. You know, these are the signs associated with the equinoxes. The equinoxes and the solstices. So these are really the turning points of the year. So they tend to sort of create marked changes in the seasons. And so the thinking is that they do the same thing in the sort of like the world when we have transits. That's kind of the theory behind it. So looking to the chart of this particular event, one of the things that really jumps out is Neptune's proximity to Saturn in the early degrees of Aries at the time of the Jupiter-Saturn square. So this could have the effect of either softening the potential severity of any downsides, like, say, budget cuts or price drops, or, on the other hand, muddying the waters, creating fear, doubt, and uncertainty, which, of course, is never good for market stability. Now, Neptune's involvement with Saturn could potentially point to developments related to things like supply chains, especially shipping routes, because of Neptune's rule of the oceans. It could also be things like water defenses, like flood defenses, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that does actually end up manifesting. However, beyond that, I think, especially given Trump's unpredictability, it's hard to say how exactly this will play out. Let's just say that I am relieved and heartened by the fact that both China and the US are traditionally Cancer-ruled regions, which will hopefully mean increased goodwill and tolerance from both parties towards each other, particularly in the 12 months following, that June square. So as Jupiter changes sign and as the Jupiter-Saturn square separates, so kind of like probably from the autumn of 2025 onwards.